Good morning, everyone. I'm Wasura Wattearachchi, a final year PhD student from UNSW Canberra, Australia. Today, I'll be presenting my paper on designing effective human-swarm interaction interfaces, which are insights from a user study on task performance. First, I will give you a brief introduction to this domain. Imagine working side by side with a robot. In this video here, these students are guiding robots using flashlights to play a hockey game. So humans and robots collaborating on a task which leads to human-robot interaction. Now, imagine instead of one robot, think about 12 or dozens of or hundreds of robots. But they might have individual set of rules, but they can coordinate together and have an emergent behaviors like birds and bees that you see in your day-to-day lives. So that leads to swarm robotics, which we focused on our research. Now, again think about the robot's limitations. The robots have limited sensing capabilities and they have limited battery power. And the mission critical objectives may require humans to interact with the robots. So that means this leads to human-swarm interaction where a human operator will guide a robotic swarms without compromising their autonomy. Now, in this research, we considered hazardous environments as well. For example, there can be environments where it's too risky for humans to personally intervene so that we can send the robotic swarm to do our task by themselves. So we considered three types of environments in this research. The first one is distributed hazards, where the hazard happens in distributed way in random places like rocks falling, high winds, and trees falling. The next one is spreading hazards. That means the hazards start from one place and it spreads over time to the neighboring regions like a fire. And the third one is moving hazard, where the hazards start from one place and traverse through the space like an adversary is doing a patrolling task. So we considered these three environments, which gives novelty to our research when we do human-swarm interaction user studies. Now, looking at the related work, there are different interaction techniques, as you can see here in the left side of this diagram. These are from literature, and also there are different techniques for principles for human-robot interaction, taxonomies, and human-swarm interaction features and swarm characteristics. But there is a limited number of studies who focused on coming up with effective interaction interface design principles specifically for human-swarm interaction, which we focused on our work. And also when comparing with other studies, according to the best of our knowledge, none of the studies have focused on human interaction, swarming, the awareness of the situation of the human, that means situation awareness of the human operator, and measuring it in dynamic environments, which we focused on our work, which gives another way of novelty. Now, this leads to our contributions. The first one is to come up with a systematic approach to do human-swarm interaction interface design, and then we conducted an in-depth user study with human participants to evaluate the task performance in the presence of hazards in dynamic environments. Now, moving on to the first contribution, this is the graphical abstract that comes with this paper. You can have a look at it. And in this graphical abstract, the first and the second steps contributes to our first contribution. So the first one is the 10 principles. So these 10 principles were derived from existing literature. These are kind of like umbrella set of principles that covers the whole literature. We use these 10 principles to come up with the interface in the second step, but in order to do that, first we had to define a swarming task with humans. So the task that we considered is 20 ground robots doing a single target search in a dynamic environment with hazards. So we simulated this using Coppelia sim environment, and the robots had particle swarm optimization local-based model with a limited communication range and a basic obstacle avoidance. So now the human. The human will be given the tablet interface which we designed in this experiment, and it's the responsibility of the human to identify the hazards and communicate it to the robots, because the robots don't aware of those hazards. So let's look at how we design the interface. So now we have the swarming task with the human. We did a goal-directed task analysis to identify the situation awareness requirements of the humans. For example, in this task, where the robots, active robots are located, how many robots got deactivated due to the hazards, and how much time is left for the task. So those are the situation awareness requirements. And we form then information dimensions, which are abstract representations of those situation awareness, and then we apply the principles to those information dimensions to come up with this interface. If we have a look at this one, you can see there is a green bordered target area, which is where the target is located. So one of the cells in this area is where the actual target is located. And then initially all the robots are active. It should be shown in dark blue. But time to time, hazards, messages will be coming to the user about the hazards. The user needs to read them and mark the cells in red by tapping on the screen, so the robots won't enter those cells. But the thing is, if the robots enter before the human marks these cells, they will get deactivated, which will be shown in light blue. And also time to time there will be robots getting trapped in narrow obstacles, and also they get so isolated from the swarm, so that robots are denoted in yellow color. And also there is a timer, which is a 5-minute task actually, so it's a countdown, so the user can keep track of how much time is left for the task. Now this completes our first contribution. Now let's move on to the second one, which is our user study. So the user study was done one participant at a time. So the participant come to our lab, and we were given them an introduction video, and then they were asked to give the consent. And after that, they were given a pre-task questionnaire, which is to collect their demographic information about themselves. And once they did the pre-task questionnaire, they were asked to do the task using the tablet interface. And during the task, there were 2 automatic pauses, and during each pause, we assessed their objective situation awareness using a standard situation awareness global assessment technique. And once the task is done, they were given another post-task questionnaire to assess their subjective situation awareness, rate their situation awareness according to themselves using standard situation awareness rating technique. Once the task is done for one danger type, they were again asked to do for the other 2 danger types, other 2 hazards. Once they finished the 3 scenarios, 3 hazards, they were again asked to do it in a different order for a second attempt. So for one participant, it took like 1.5 hours to 2 hours to finish the whole study. So we used 31 participants, and each participant did 3 tasks in 2 attempts. So that means 6 participant tasks, 6 data points, which contributes to our study from one participant. Now, since now we have the data points, we did an analysis on that based on task performance. So we measured the task performance based on the proximity to the target, how much close the robots to the target by the end of the task. We use metrics like nearest active robots positions, nearest quartiles of active robots positions, furthest active robots positions, and centroid active robots positions as shown here. So that means closer the robots, lower the distance value. That means the higher the task performance. When we did an analysis by considering all the hazards together, in this diagram over here, you can see it spans the y-axis span from 0 to 120. So that's because our arena was 120 by 120 meters. So we were able to get all the distance between this range. So that's why it's 0 to 120. So the region of the target we considered as 0 to 12 meters, which is the closest region for the target. And the y-axis is the participant tasks, so each participant did 6 participant tasks. So these are the total number of participant tasks of the whole participant group. And the color code shows that the different task performance metrics. Actually, this graph over here are a set of histogram where the only center points of each being were connected with lines. So that's why it is shown as a line plot. But it's actually a set of histograms. When moving forward, if you can carefully see, in most of the task performance metrics, the highest number of participant tasks falls within the range of the target. So that means the interface provided the primary objective of bringing most robots closer to the target. But if you carefully see this one, the blue color one, that's the farthest active robot's position. It is a bit low. That means the interface was not be able to bring the whole swarm, all of the robots to the target region, which is an improvement that we could do in future. We did the same analysis for each hazard type as well. So we compared between which hazard types has which kind of performance. So in this table here, we show the Friedman test results followed by a post hoc Wilcoxon signed rank test results to identify the significances between the hazards. So the easiest way is, if you carefully look at distributed and moving hazards, it has low value. Low distance value means higher the task performance. So that means the people were able to bring the robots to the target region in moving and distributed hazards when compared to the spreading hazard. We did the same analysis for robot deactivations as well. So by the end of the task, how many robots are deactivated out of the 20 robots that we have? So the light blue color ones. When looking at this, we can see in 52% of the tasks, there were no or less than 5 robots got deactivated. But there were none of the tasks where 16 or more robots got deactivated. So that means the interface helped participants minimizing the robot losses as well. When considering hazard by hazard, we saw that distributed has the least number of losses, which was shown in this green color bars. And the moving has the most number of losses, as shown in this orange color bars. So that means the interface's effectiveness varies by hazard types, which has room for improvement in future. So this concludes our work. So the conclusion is, we came up, we used a systematic way to do human swarm interaction interface design by introducing 10 principles, and we did an extensive user study and measured the task performance in the presence of hazards. So what we saw is the user interface supports bringing robots to the target region and minimizes robot losses in the face of different hazards. So this completes our whole paper. As future work, we have already a preprint on situation awareness part of this paper and the task performance, which will be published soon. And we already conducted an analysis on economical benefits of using humans by comparing this study with a baseline without humans. And also we conducted another study where we degraded information one by one and identified what are the important information for this kind of a task, which will be presented in Australasian Joint Conference on Artificial Intelligence in December this year. And this video here is my Visualize Your Thesis video, which I submitted for UNSW finals. You can scan the QR code and have a look at it if you are interested. That's it for this presentation. Thank you very much. You can ask any questions if you have.
Yeah.